And viewers, as crucial talks between Zelensky and Trump are set to be held today, an energy company, DTEK, confirmed that Russian strikes have plunged over 1 million homes in Kyiv and surrounding areas into darkness due to extensive power outages. Crews worked around the clock to restore electricity while air raids continued. Meanwhile, Moscow claims to have captured 2 more towns in eastern Ukraine, Mirnograd in Donetsk and Guliai-pole in Zaporizhia, intensifying pressure on Ukrainian forces. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned that if Kyiv refuses to settle the conflict peacefully, Russia will resolve all issues by military means. Let's listen in to the chief of the Russian Army Staff, General.
Войска группировки «Центр» завершили разгром окруженной группировки вооруженных сил Украины и освободили город Димитров. Группировка войск «Восток» наступает в западном направлении в Запорожской области и также по территории Днепропетровской области с целью создания там зоны безопасности. Освобожден город Гуляй-Поле.
This comes as Ukrainian President Zelensky held urgent talks with key allies while traveling to the US. During a stopover in Canada, he met Prime Minister Mark Carney and briefed European Union, NATO and European leaders who pledged full support. Zelensky stated that Moscow's attacks show no desire for peace. He is now en route to meet US President Donald Trump for push for security guarantees. And Professor Wesleyan Popovsky, who's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, is now joining us from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining me in this discussion. Professor, what do you think? What is the message intended by Putin? What messages is intending to send to Russia, Ukraine, beg your pardon, as Zelensky heads for the talks with Trump?
Well, the message is very clear. We don't want peace. We are going to fight. We are going to shell. We are going to kill civilians every day. This is what Russia does for the last 4 years, very clearly. There was never, by the way, a Russian peace plan. Everybody else did a peace plan. Trump, Zelensky, the Chinese, the Turkish, the Arabians, Saudi Arabia. Everybody came with a peace plan so far. Never ever Russia did a peace plan. What they do every day is shelling civilian targets, killing civilians, and mobilize, by the way, the news I heard this morning, next year Russia is planning to mobilize 400,000, almost 500,000 of new soldiers. This is what Russia intends to do. And Zelensky Trump will meet later today, and that's important because finally, I hope at some point, President Trump should realize that Russia doesn't want peace, what everybody else in the world realizes. The meeting in Canada, earlier the calls with the Europeans, everybody in the world, apart from the incompetent President Trump so far, doesn't realize that Russia and Vladimir Putin don't want peace. And for that matter, Trump should do exactly what the Prime Minister of Canada, exactly what all the European leaders, exactly what every single reasonable leader in the world does. Sanction Russia, full support of Ukraine.
Yes. We had that conversation earlier as well, but what do you think a professor is bolstering Putin towards his demands?
Well, he has no other option. He already is losing support of the world. He is nowhere. Russia is no longer a member of the international community. He's kicked out of every organization apart from the Security Council, obviously. It's no longer in the Olympic committees. Russian citizens cannot put the Russian flag when they go to compete with other athletes all over the world. The Russian economy is collapsing. Those who will return from the front line will be criminals, and he's basically scared of stopping the war exactly because his power will end. When that all happens, when the Russian economy collapses, and Putin has no option here. He will be remembered as the worst aggressor and worst war criminal of this century. And he realizes that. And basically, he continues the war just because the war is his last thing that he can do. He wakes up in the morning and the generals report to him they took another village in Ukraine or they kill another 3 or 4 children. And that's what makes him cheerful, that 2 or 3 more children in Ukraine died. That's the only good news for Putin from now on. And it will be the only good news for Putin for 2026. He has no other good news. All the world is against him. And at some point, he will learn exactly how every aggressor in the world, Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, Saddam Hussein, they all ended in one or another. So he just needs to choose how he will end, like Mussolini, like Hitler, or like Saddam Hussein. Choose one of the 3 ending, and that will be the end of Putin.
Professor Popovsky, you've suggested, recommended for the countries across the world to boycott Russia, sanction Russia. Why do you think that has not happened so far? If anything, we're only seeing Trump recently, more and more inclined towards Russian interests.
Well, I answered already. Most of the countries sanction Russia, but some big countries do not. China and India do not. So my question is to the government in Beijing and New Delhi, why they do not. They continue buying Russian oil and gas in large amounts of volumes, and this is what gives Putin money to continue to mobilize soldiers, to buy weapons from North Korea and from Iran and from other countries. So once big countries like China and India will stop buying Russian oil and gas, then Putin will have no money to continue his aggressive war and his war crimes and killing more civilians. Very simple. Sanctions don't work when half of the world is continuing to buy oil and gas. Remember Saddam Hussein in Iraq. All the world had to stop buying Iraqi oil, and Saddam had no other options for 12 years rather than to disarm, and he finally disarmed Iraq. He couldn't develop weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons and chemical weapons, exactly because the sanctions were global. But these sanctions against Russia, only the Europeans, Canadians, Japanese, South Koreans, Australians, and some other countries impose sanctions. The biggest buyers of Russian oil and gas, China and India and some other countries, need to be asked why they continue that.
All right, do stay on with me, Professor. We move ahead to give some more news to our viewers. Ukraine's President Zelensky, viewers, has met with Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney in Halifax.